I hadn't eaten in 2 days when my $150 car broke down in the middle of nowhere. That's when a stranger showed up and asked about something hidden inside it. The problem was I had no idea what he was talking about, but he looked ready to kill for it. Before this gets worse, hit subscribe and become part of this journey with me, and tell me in the comments where you're watching from and what time it is. Now, let me show you how a broken car turned into the most dangerous decision of my life. Hadn't eaten in 2 days when the engine finally died on the side of that empty road. The only thing I owned in the world was sitting in front of me, a $150 car that shouldn't have even been running, and somehow buried somewhere inside. It was something a man had already tried to kill me for. If you've ever felt like life backed you into a corner, like every door closed at once, then you'll understand why I didn't walk away that day. Because I had nothing left to lose. My name is Daniel Hayes. 3 months before that moment, I still believed things could turn around. I was wrong. Everything started falling apart the day I lost my job. Not just any job, it was the only stable thing. I had left a warehouse supervisor position in Tulsa, long hours, low pay, but steady, predictable, safe. Then one morning the manager called me into his office. No warning, no build-up, just a single sentence. "We're restructuring, today's your last day." That was it. No argument, no appeal, just a cardboard box and a security guard walking me out like I'd done something wrong. I remember sitting in my car afterward, staring at my reflection in the cracked rearview mirror. I looked older than I was, tired, hollow, like something inside me had already given up. Bills don't care about feelings, though. Within 2 weeks, my savings were gone. Within a month, I was behind on rent. By the second month, my landlord didn't knock anymore. He just taped the notice on the door. I packed everything I could into garbage bags, which turned out to be not much. A few clothes, some papers, a broken watch my father used to wear. The rest I left behind because I couldn't carry it. Or maybe because I didn't want to admit I was leaving for good. The night I got evicted, I slept in my car for the first time. It felt temporary, like something I'd laugh about later. I didn't know it was the beginning of something much worse. Days blurred together after that. Job applications ignored interviews that went nowhere. Gas. Money disappearing faster than hope. Hunger changes you. At first it's just discomfort. Then it becomes this constant weight pressing on your chest, making it hard to think straight. You start calculating everything. Meals, miles, time. I sold what little I had. My phone went next. Then my watch. By the time I was down to my last $50, I knew I needed something drastic. That's when I saw the listing. Old car must sell fast, $150 cash. Only, no questions. I almost laughed when I read it. $150 for a car meant one thing: junk. But junk that runs is better than nothing that doesn't. The address led me to the edge of town, where the roads turned. Rough, and the houses looked like they'd been forgotten by time. The car was sitting in a yard full of scrap metal rusted machines, stacked like skeletons of things that used to matter. And there he was, the old man. He was standing beside the car like he'd been waiting for me. Thin, tall face lined with years that didn't look kind. "You here for the car?" he asked. His voice was steady, but his eyes studied me in a way that made me uncomfortable, like he already knew things I hadn't said. "Yeah," I said, trying to sound more confident than I felt. "You said 150. He nodded slowly. 150 cash." I walked around the car. It was worse than I expected. Faded paint dents along the side. One headlight cracked tires that looked like they'd seen too many miles already. But the engine! I popped the hood and froze. It was clean. Not new, not perfect, but maintained. Way too well for a car like this. Something about that didn't make sense. "You gonna take it or not?" the old man said. I hesitated. Something felt off. Not wrong exactly. Just unfinished, like a sentence cut off halfway. "Why so cheap?" I asked. He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "Because I need it gone." That answer should have been enough. It should have told me to walk away. But I didn't. Because when you're desperate, you don't ask too many questions. You just survive. I handed him the money. Every dollar I had left. He took it without counting, then reached into his pocket and pulled out a small set of keys. Before he handed them over, he paused. For a moment, I thought he might say something important, something that would have changed everything. Instead, he just looked at me and said, "Take care of it." I nodded, climbed into the driver's seat, and turned the key. The engine started on the second try, low, rough, but alive. I remember feeling something I hadn't felt in weeks. Relief. Freedom, even if it was temporary. I didn't look back when I drove away. I didn't see the way the old man watched me leave, or the way his expression changed the moment I turned the corner. I didn't know then that buying that car was the moment my life split into before and after. At first, everything seemed normal. The car drove better than expected. Not smooth, but reliable. It got me from one town to another, from one job lead to the next. I started sleeping in it more comfortably, learning how to park in places where no one would bother me. Days turned into a routine drive search. Wait, repeat. But small things started happening. Little details I couldn't explain. The glove compartment wouldn't open fully, like something was blocking it from inside. The radio only picked up one station, a static-filled frequency that sometimes almost sounded like voices. At night, I'd hear faint clicking sounds from under the dashboard even when the engine was off. I told myself it was just an old car. Old things make noise. Old things fall apart. But deep down, I knew something wasn't right. The first real sign came about a week later. I had parked near an abandoned gas station, just outside a town I didn't even remember the name of. The sky was heavy with clouds, the kind that make everything feel smaller, quieter. I was trying to sleep when headlights cut through the darkness. A black SUV pulled up across the road and stopped. It didn't turn off its engine. It just sat there, watching. At first I thought nothing of it. Maybe someone lost, maybe someone resting. But minutes passed, then more. The car didn't move, didn't leave, didn't do anything, just waited. A cold feeling settled in my chest. I shifted slightly, trying not to draw attention, but my eyes stayed locked on that vehicle. Then the driver's door opened. A man stepped out, tall, broad shoulders, dressed too clean for a place like this. He didn't look around. He looked straight at me and started walking. Every instinct told me to leave, but my body froze. He crossed the road slowly, like he had all the time in the world. When he reached my car, he didn't knock. He just stood there, staring through the window. Then he smiled. It wasn't friendly. It was the kind of smile that says, "I know something you don't." "You bought this car recently, didn't you?" he said. My throat went dry. "Yeah, I managed." He nodded like that confirmed something important. "Where did you get it?" I hesitated. Something about the question felt dangerous. "Just some guy," I said. He leaned closer, his eyes scanning the interior like he was searching for something. "You should be careful with things that don't belong to you," he said quietly. Before I could respond, he stepped back. Then just like that, he turned around, walked to his SUV, and drove away. No explanation, no reason. Just gone. I sat there for a long time after that heart-pounding, mind-racing. What did he mean? What didn't belong to me? That night I didn't sleep. I kept thinking about the old man, his strange behavior, the way he didn't explain anything. And the car. There was something inside it. Something hidden. I didn't know what yet, but I could feel it. And for the first time since everything fell apart, I realized this wasn't just survival anymore. This was something else, something bigger, something dangerous. And somehow, I was already in the middle of it. I didn't leave the next morning. Most people would have, after a stranger shows up in the middle of nowhere, asking questions that dawn. It makes sense and then disappears like that. The smart move is simple drive, away, forget everything, pretend it never happened. But I didn't, because I kept hearing his words over and over in my head. Be careful with things that don't belong to you. That sentence didn't feel like a warning. It felt like a clue. And something inside me, the same part that refused to quit, even when everything else fell. A part told me this car wasn't just a car. It was the only thing I had left. And maybe the only thing that could change everything. The sky was gray when I stepped out, stretching my stiff back from another night curled in the driver's seat. The abandoned gas station looked even worse in daylight. Cracked pavement, broken windows, a sign hanging sideways like it had given up years ago. No people, no movement, just silence. I walked around the car slowly. From the outside, it looked the same as yesterday, old, worn, forgettable. But now I wasn't just looking at it. I was studying it. Every dent, every panel, every detail. If something was hidden here, it wasn't obvious, which meant it was meant to stay hidden. I opened the trunk first. Empty except for an old blanket and a rusted tire iron. Nothing unusual. Then the back seats, torn fabric springs pushing through dust in every corner. Still nothing. I moved to the passenger side. The glove compartment again. I pulled on it harder this time. It opened halfway, then stopped like something inside was physically blocking it. I crouched down, squinting into the narrow gap. Too dark to see anything clearly. I reached inside, forcing my fingers past the edge, trying to feel what was stopping it. My hand brushed against something solid, flat, metal, not part of the compartment itself. My heart started pounding. Slowly, carefully, I pulled my hand back. There was definitely something inside, something hidden behind the glove box. And it didn't feel small. I sat back thinking, if someone went through the effort of hiding something like this, then it had to be important. Maybe valuable, maybe dangerous, maybe both. I glanced around instinctively like someone might be watching. The road was still empty. Silence stretched in every direction. I needed tools. The tire iron would have to do. I grabbed it from the trunk and returned to the passenger side. For a moment I hesitated, because once I started, there was no going back. Whatever was inside that compartment had already brought one stranger to me in the middle of nowhere, and I had no idea who else might come looking. But then I thought about sleeping in my car, counting coins, just to eat feeling invisible, like my life didn't matter anymore. And something inside me hardened. I pushed the tire iron into the gap and forced it down. The plastic cracked, loud in the quiet air. I froze for a second, listening. Nothing. I pushed again, harder this time. The compartment snapped open, fully breaking off its hinges and dropping into my hands. Behind it, there it was, a hidden metal panel bolted into place. Not factory-made, custom, deliberate. My breath caught. Someone had gone out of their way to create this, to hide something that wasn't meant to be found. I ran my fingers along the edges. 6 small screws held it in place. Old but not rusted. Recently maintained. That didn't make sense either. Whoever owned this car before me didn't treat the outside with care. But this was protected. I used the tip of the tire iron to slowly twist each screw loose. It took time, my hands shaking slightly, not just from hunger, but from something else, anticipation. Fear, maybe both. One by one, the screws came out, until finally the panel loosened. I paused again. That same feeling creeping in, like I was about to open something I couldn't close. Then I pulled it free. Inside was a narrow compartment, and in it, a small black box. No labels, no markings, just a simple matte surface. It looked too clean, too perfect compared to everything else in the car. I picked it up carefully. It had weight to it more than expected. Locked. Of course it was locked. I turned it over, searching for anything. A keyhole, a latch, something. Nothing obvious, just smooth edges and one small indentation on the side. I pressed it. Nothing happened. For a moment, frustration hit me hard. After everything, after all this build-up, I was staring at a box I couldn't even open. But then I noticed something else. Inside the compartment underneath where the box had been sitting, a folded piece of paper, yellowed with age. My fingers trembled slightly as I picked it up. It felt fragile, like it might fall apart if I moved too fast. I unfolded it slowly and froze. Because what I saw didn't look like a letter. It looked like a map. Hand-drawn lines rough, but detailed marking symbols I didn't recognize at first glance. And one thing that stood out immediately, a location circled in red. No names, no explanation, just coordinates written at the bottom. My mind raced. A hidden box and a map. This wasn't random. This was planned. Someone had hidden both for a reason. And now they were in my hands. I sat there for a long time staring at that map, trying to make sense of it, trying to understand what I had just stepped into. And then another thought hit me. The man from last night. He knew. He knew about this. Which meant I wasn't the only one looking for whatever this led to. That realization changed everything. Because now it wasn't just curiosity driving me. It was urgency. I needed to know what this was before someone else got to me first. I folded the map carefully and tucked it into my jacket, then picked up the box again. There had to be a way to open it. I examined the indentation more closely. It wasn't random. It was shaped like something specific. A key, but not a normal one. Something thinner, flat. I checked the keys the old man had given me. 2 keys, one for the ignition, one for the door. Neither fit. I searched the car again more thoroughly this time. Every corner, every crevice, every place I might have missed. Nothing. No extra key. No clue. Just the box. The map. And a growing feeling that I was running out of time. I was about to give up when I noticed something small, almost invisible. Under the driver's seat, tucked deep into the corner. A thin metallic strip. I pulled it out slowly. It looked like part of something broken at first. But when I turned it in my hand, I saw it. The shape? It matched the indentation on the box perfectly. My pulse spiked. I moved quickly, sliding the strip into the slot. For a second, nothing happened. Then, soft click. I held my breath, slowly lifted the lid. Inside the box wasn't money, wasn't jewelry, wasn't anything I expected. It was a small flash drive, and beneath it, another folded paper, this one newer, cleaner. I opened it carefully, and read the first line. If you are reading this, it means I failed. My chest tightened. Failed at what? I kept reading. They are watching this car. If you found the compartment, you are already in danger. Do not trust anyone, especially the ones who come asking questions. My hands went cold. The message continued. What is hidden is worth more than you can imagine, but it will cost you everything if you are not careful. The coordinates lead to the truth, but you must move fast. They will not stop looking. I stopped reading, my mind spinning. They? Who were they? What was on the flash drive? What truth was this talking about? And most importantly, what had I just gotten myself into? A sudden sound snapped me back to reality. An engine. Close. Too close. I looked up, and my heart dropped. The same black SUV was pulling into the lot. Faster this time. More direct. Like it knew exactly where I was. I didn't think. I moved. Shoving the box, the flash drive, the map, everything into my jacket, I jumped into the driver's seat and turned the key. The engine struggled. For a second, I thought it wouldn't start. Then it roared to life. I hit the gas, hard gravel spraying behind me as I sped out onto the road. In the mirror, I saw the SUV follow immediately. No hesitation, no doubt. They weren't guessing anymore. They knew, and now they were coming for me. The road stretched. Ahead of me, like a thin line between survival and something I couldn't even name yet. My hands gripped the steering wheel so tight my knuckles turned white. In the rearview mirror, the black SUV stayed locked on me steady, relentless like a predator that had already decided how this would end. I pressed harder on the gas even though the engine protested. This car wasn't built for speed. It rattled, it shook it, complained with every mile. But it kept moving, and right now that was all that mattered. My mind raced faster than the car. Every possibility, every outcome, every mistake I might have already made. Who were they? What did they want? And why was this car worth chasing someone across empty roads? The SUV got closer. I could see the driver now. Same man from last night. Same calm expression, like none of this was urgent to him at all. It terrified me more than anything, because people who stay calm while chasing you like this, they already believe they've won. The road curved ahead, leading toward a narrow stretch between hills. No buildings, no turns, no escape routes. Just open land. Bad place to get trapped. I needed a plan. Fast. Then I saw it. A dirt path breaking off to the right, barely visible, unless you were looking for it. I took it without slowing down. The car jolted violently as it hit the uneven ground, dust kicking up behind me. For a moment I thought I might lose control, but I held it steady. The SUV followed. Of course it did. The path twisted through rough terrain. Rocks scattered deep grooves, carved by years of neglect. This was no longer a road. It was a gamble. I pushed forward anyway. The car slammed over a bump hard enough to knock the breath out of me. Something in the back shifted loudly. I ignored it. All that mattered was distance. The path narrowed even more ahead, leading toward an old broken wooden bridge that looked like it. Hadn't been used in years. I didn't slow down. At the last second, doubt hit me hard. This could collapse. This could end everything right here. But stopping wasn't an option. I drove straight onto it. The wood creaked loudly under the weight of the car. Boards bending, cracking, but somehow holding. Every second felt stretched. Then I was across. I didn't look back immediately. I just kept driving until the path widened again. When I finally glanced in the mirror, the SUV had stopped at the edge of the bridge. Not crossing, just waiting. That same man stepped out again. He stood there watching me from a distance. And then slowly, he smiled. Like this was only the beginning. A chill ran through me. Because deep down I knew he wasn't giving up. He was letting me go. For now. I kept driving until the path reconnected with a paved road miles away. Only then did I finally slow down. My heart still pounding. Adrenaline still rushing through my veins. I pulled over to the side of the road, breathing hard, trying to steady myself. Silence surrounded me again, but it didn't feel the same anymore. It felt temporary, fragile, like something could break it at any second. I reached into my jacket, pulling out the box, the flash drive, the map. All of it felt heavier now, not just physically, but because of what it meant. I looked at the map again. The coordinates stared back at me like a decision I couldn't avoid anymore. This wasn't just about surviving day to day. This was something bigger, something hidden, something dangerous enough to have people chasing me across empty roads without hesitation. I had two choices. Drive away. Forget everything. Try to go back to a life that had already fallen apart. Or follow the coordinates and find out what this really was, safe or unknown, normal or dangerous. For the first time in a long time, the choice felt clear, because safe had already taken everything from me. I started the engine again and turned toward the direction of the coordinates. The journey took hours. The landscape changed slowly from dry, empty land to dense. Forest roads that twisted deeper into isolation. No signal, no traffic, no signs of life. Just trees, shadows, and the growing feeling that I was heading somewhere I wasn't supposed to find. As the sun started to drop lower, the road ended. Completely. Ahead of me was nothing but overgrown grass and a narrow trail barely visible. I stopped the car. Checked the map again. This was it. The location circled in red. I stepped out the air cooler, here, quieter. Heavier. Every sound felt amplified. The tooey, crunch of gravel under my feet, the distant rustle of leaves. I grabbed the map and the box, then started walking. The trail was uneven, forcing me to move slowly. Branches brushing. Against my arms, the ground soft in places, like it hadn't been walked in years. After about 10 minutes, I saw it. A structure hidden between the trees. Old. Faded. Almost invisible from a distance. A house. Or what used to be one. My pace slowed instinctively. Something about it felt wrong. Not abandoned exactly. Just waiting. The windows were dark. The paint peeling. The front door slightly open. I approached carefully, every step measured. This was the place. Whatever the map was leading to. It ended here. I stood at the entrance for a moment, listening. Nothing. No movement. No voices. Just silence. I pushed the door open slowly. It creaked loudly, echoing through the empty space. Inside was worse than outside. Dust covered everything, furniture, broken walls stained with time and neglect. But there was something else. Something subtle. It didn't feel random. It felt like someone had been here. Not recently, maybe, but not forgotten either. I stepped inside the floorboards, creaking under my weight. Each step deeper into the house felt heavier, like I was crossing into something I couldn't leave behind. Then I saw it. On the far wall, a symbol carved directly into the wood. The same symbol I had seen on the map. My chest tightened. This was real. All of it. I moved closer, studying it carefully. And then I heard something behind me. A floorboard. Shifting. I turned sharply. Heart racing. The doorway was empty, but the silence had changed. It wasn't empty anymore. It felt watched. And for the first time since I started this, I realized something that made my blood run cold. I wasn't the first one to follow this map, and I definitely wasn't alone here now. I didn't move. Not at first, because sometimes when you react too fast, you make things worse. And something deep inside me was screaming to stay still, to listen, to feel what was really happening around me. The air inside the house felt heavier now, like it was holding its breath. I slowly turned my head, scanning every corner, every shadow, every broken piece of furniture. Nothing. No one. But that feeling didn't leave. It got stronger, like eyes were locked on me from somewhere I couldn't see. I took a slow step backward toward the center of the room, keeping the symbol in front of me. That carving wasn't random. It was a marker, a message, or a warning. I raised my hand and ran my fingers across it. The edges were sharp, not worn down by time. This was newer than everything else in the house, which meant someone had been here, not long ago. A sound came again, this time clearer. Upstairs, a faint movement. Like weight shifting across old wood. My heart started pounding again. Whoever was here wasn't hiding anymore. They knew I heard them. I had two options again. Run back to the car and get out, while I still could, or go up and face whatever was waiting. Every instinct told me to leave, but the map led here for a reason, and whatever truth this place held, I wasn't walking away without it. Not after everything. Not after being chased. Not after finding that message. I moved toward the staircase slowly, each step controlled. The wood creaked loudly under my weight, every sound echoing through the empty house. The stairs looked fragile, like they might collapse at any moment. But they held, one step at a time, up into the darkness. At the top, the hallway stretched out, narrow and dim. Doors on both sides, most of them closed. One at the end, slightly open. That same feeling pulled me toward it. I walked forward carefully, then stopped halfway, because a voice broke the silence. "You shouldn't be here." I froze. It was a man's voice, old but steady. Not surprised, not afraid, like he had been expecting this moment. I turned slowly toward the sound, and there he was, standing in the doorway at the end of the hall. Same old man. The one who sold me the car. My mind struggled to catch up. How was he here? How did he get here before me? You, I said, my voice barely steady. He stepped forward into the light, looking exactly the same, but different at the same time. Less tired, more alert. Like this place gave him something the outside world didn't. I wondered when you'd find it, he said calmly. Find what I asked. His eyes shifted briefly to my jacket, to where the box was hidden. You already know, he replied. I felt a mix of anger and confusion rise inside me. You set me up, I said. You sold me that car, knowing this would happen. He didn't deny it. Instead, he nodded slowly. I didn't have a choice. That answer hit harder than I expected. There's always a choice, I snapped. Not when people like them are involved, he said. The word them again. Same as the message. Same as the man chasing me. Who are they, I asked. He took a breath, like he'd been carrying this for too long. A corporation, but not the kind you see on buildings or advertisements. They don't sell products. They collect things. What things? He looked directly at me. Information, secrets, assets that don't officially exist. My grip tightened. And this is one of those assets, I said, tapping my jacket. His expression didn't change. More than you realize. Silence filled the space between us. Then I asked the question that had been building since I found the box. Why me? He almost smiled at that. Because you had nothing? I frowned. That's exactly why, he continued. No family, no connections, no one looking for you. If you disappear, you were the perfect person to pass this to. Anger surged through me again. So I'm just a disposable delivery system, I said. His face hardened slightly. No, you're a chance. For what? For this to finally end. Those words shifted something inside me. End what? He stepped closer, lowering his voice. What's on that drive is proof. Proof of everything they've been doing for years. Illegal operations. Hidden assets. Money that doesn't exist on paper. My mind raced. If that was true, then this wasn't just dangerous. It was explosive. Why didn't you go to the police? I asked. He shook his head immediately. Because they're already inside it. You think something this big survives without protection? A heavy silence followed. I wanted to believe he was lying, that this was all some kind of misunderstanding. But deep down, everything fit. The chase, the secrecy, the warning, all of it pointed to something real, something powerful. And now it was in my hands. So what now? I asked quietly. He glanced toward the window. They'll be here soon. My stomach dropped. How do you know? Because they never lose track of what belongs to them. The same words again. Belongs to them. A sudden realization hit me. The car. They weren't following me. They were tracking the car. He saw it in my face. Yes, he said. There's a tracker still inside it. I couldn't remove it without alerting them. Panic started rising again. So they know exactly where we are. He nodded. And they're not coming to talk. I ran a hand through my hair, trying to think. What's the plan then? He looked at me seriously. You take the drive. You leave through the back trail. There's a road about half a mile east. From there, you head north. There's someone who can help you. What about you? I asked. He didn't answer immediately, because we both knew. He wasn't coming with me. I slowed them down, he finally said. That's all I can do now. No, I said immediately. We can both go. He shook his head. If we both run, they'll chase us both. If I stay, they focus on me. My chest tightened. This wasn't right. You'll die, I said. He looked at me calmly. Maybe, but this was always how it was going to end. The weight of his words settled heavily. This wasn't random. This had been building long before I showed up. He reached into his pocket and pulled out something small. A key. Take it, he said, holding it out. I hesitated, then took it. What is it? Backup access, he said. For the drive. If anything happens, a distant sound cut through the moment. Engines. More than one. Close. Very close. They're here, he said quietly. Everything inside me tensed. Fear, adrenaline, urgency, all hitting at once. Go, he said sharply. Now, I didn't argue this time. I turned and ran back down the hallway down, the stairs through the house and out the back door. Branches scratched against me as I pushed through the overgrown path behind the house. The sound of engines got louder. Closer? I didn't look back. I just ran. Half a mile felt like forever, but eventually I saw it. A narrow road hidden between trees. I stumbled onto it, breathing hard, heart racing. Then I heard something that made me stop cold. A single gunshot, echoing through the forest. I closed my eyes for a second, knowing exactly what it meant, then forced myself to move again. Because stopping now would mean everything he did was for nothing. And I wasn't going to let that happen. Not anymore. I didn't stop, running until my legs gave out, and I had to lean against a tree just to stay upright. My chest burned my throat dry, but I forced myself to keep moving because slowing down felt like dying. That gunshot kept echoing in my head. Not loud anymore, but heavy. Permanent. The old man had known exactly how this would end, and he still stayed. For me, for this, for whatever was on that drive. I tightened my grip around the small black box inside. My jacket like it was the only thing anchoring me to reality. Because now it was, everything led to this. Every bad decision, every lost job, every empty night in that car. All of it had pushed me here. And now there was no going back. I reached the road and stumbled onto it, scanning both directions. Empty. No cars. No people. Just silence. I forced myself to move again, heading north like he said. Every step felt heavier, but I kept going. Because now it wasn't just about survival anymore. It was about finishing something that someone else had died trying to protect. The road stretched for miles before I saw anything. An old gas station barely standing on the side of the road. Not abandoned, but close. A flickering light in the window. I pushed the door open, stepping inside. A woman behind the counter looked up immediately. Mid-40s, maybe sharp eyes, the kind that notice everything. "You look like hell," she said without hesitation. I almost laughed, but it came out as a weak breath. "I need help," I said. She studied me for a moment, then glanced at the door behind. Me like she was checking if I was alone. "Depends what kind of help," she replied. I reached into my jacket slowly and placed the black box on the counter. Her expression changed instantly. Not surprise. Recognition. "Where did you get this?" she asked quietly. That confirmed it. She was the one. "A friend," I said. "He told me to come here." She stared at the box for a few seconds, then nodded once. "Lock the door," she said. I turned and flipped the sign closing it, then locked it tight. When I turned back, she was already moving, pulling something out from under the counter. A laptop. Old but functional. "Set it here," she said. I placed the box down and opened it, revealing the flash drive. Her hands moved quickly, plugging it in, connecting everything. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the screen lit up. Lines of data folders, files, more than I could process. Her eyes scanned it rapidly, and then she stopped. Her face went pale. "Oh my God," she whispered. "What is it?" I asked. She looked at me slowly, like she wasn't sure how to say it. "This isn't just illegal operations," she said. "This is everything. Financial records offshore. Accounts, names, politicians, executives, judges. People you'd never expect." My heart pounded. "Proof?" I asked. She nodded. "Enough to destroy all of them." The weight of that hit hard. This wasn't just about one corporation anymore. This was something bigger. Something that reached into places I couldn't even imagine. "Can we use it?" I asked. She hesitated. "Yes," she said finally. "But once we do, there's no hiding, no running. They will come after you harder than before." I thought about that for exactly 1 second. "I've been running my whole life," I said quietly. "I'm done with that." She held my gaze for a moment, then nodded. "All right." Her fingers started moving across the keyboard. Fast, precise, like she'd done this before. "We send it everywhere," she said. "Multiple channels, media outlets, secure networks, people who can't ignore it. No single point of failure. Smart. Very smart. Minutes felt like hours as the data uploaded transferred spread out into the world. Every second I expected the door to burst open. Every sound made my heart jump. Then finally, she leaned back. "It's done," she said. Silence filled the room. Heavy but different this time. Not fear. Something else. Release, maybe. We waited. 1 minute. 2. 5. Then her phone buzzed. She picked it up, glanced at the screen, and let out a slow breath. "It's happening," she said. I moved closer. News alerts started popping up rapidly. Breaking headlines. Investigations, emergency statements, names being exposed one after another. It was spreading. Fast. Too fast to stop. For the first time since this started, I felt something shift inside me. Like the balance had changed. Like they weren't in control anymore. But that didn't mean it was over. A car pulled up outside. My body tensed instantly. But the woman just glanced through the window and relaxed slightly. "Not them," she said. Then she looked back at me. "You can't stay here," she added. "Even with this out, they'll still try to clean up anything connected." I nodded. I already knew. "What do I do now?" I asked. She thought for a moment, then reached under the counter, again pulling out a small envelope. "Cash. Enough to get you somewhere safe," she said. I stared at it. 3 days ago, I didn't have enough to eat. Now, I was holding something that could change everything again. "Take it," she insisted. "You earned it." I took it slowly, not because of the money, but because of what it meant. A second chance. I stepped outside, the sky brighter. Now, like the world didn't even know what had just happened. Or maybe it did. Maybe things were already shifting in ways no one could see yet. I looked down the road. No SUV, no chase, just open space. For the first time in months, I wasn't running. I got back into the car, the same broken $150 car that started all of this. But it didn't feel the same anymore. Because I wasn't the same. I turned the key and the engine came to life. Still rough, still imperfect. But strong enough, just like me. I drove forward, not knowing exactly where I was going. But knowing one thing for sure. I wasn't lost anymore. Weeks later, everything changed. Investigations, arrests, names falling like dominoes. The corporation collapsed faster than anyone expected. Too much evidence, too many eyes on it. They couldn't hide anymore. And somehow, I survived it. No one came after me again. No black SUVs, no strangers asking questions. Just silence, peace. And something I hadn't felt in a long time. Belonging. I found work again, small at first, then better. A place to stay. A routine, but not the same kind as before. This time it felt earned, built on something real. Sometimes I still think about that day, that road, that moment when the engine died and everything could have ended right there. If I had walked away, if I had ignored the signs, if I had chosen safe again, none of this would have happened. The truth would still be hidden, and I would still be lost. That's the thing. No one tells you. Sometimes the worst moment of your life is actually the beginning of something bigger, something that forces you to become the person you were meant to be. I started with nothing. A broken life, a broken car, no direction. And somehow, that $150 car led me to a hidden fortune. Not just money, not just survival, but purpose. And if you're watching this, right, now feeling stuck, feeling like nothing is working, like the world forgot about you, just remember this. Sometimes the thing that looks the most useless, the most worthless, is actually the thing that changes everything. You just have to be brave enough to follow it. If this story meant something to you, if you've ever felt like giving up but didn't, then stay with me. Because stories like this aren't just about luck. They're about choices. And the next one you make might change your life too.